Cool. Let's see. We're live. Yeah, live. It's always weird the way Facebook keeps changing. I never know if we get live or not. It's like you have to wait for the ding, and we are live. Cool. Wow. Great. So people are going to start pouring in. We're going live on YouTube today, and we are going live on Facebook in the Facebook group. Welcome, guys, to Shaggy's Consulting and Training. We're trying to get this show back live. Consistency every week. We're going to have special guests on different topics that we're going across, and and it's a moving world right now, man. Everything's rocking and rolling. I was on every day I get on and kind of study the spot market, talk to Corey about freight and how the rates are moving and things are adjusting, and and then it comes back to here we come again, the panel. I got Bob, I got the crew here, and I'm going to introduce them all shortly, and then we're going to get into some topics. But before we get in there, man, I want everybody to take time to share the post if you like what we're putting on, and like the page, and also go and support some of the people that are on here bringing us the information today, because our number one goal with the panel is to be available to answer questions. Today we got questions with new authority setups. We got questions. Frank says he's been kicked out again. Frank Jr. took your spot on Tuesday. You're not around, and we're mixing it up. I forgot.
We still love you, Frank.
We still love you, Frank. We forgot you. We figured you were playing with your Tonka trucks.
Yeah, well, or fishing.
So before we get rowdy and going here, guys, I want everybody to, if you have questions about setting up your authority, compliance, and then we have our recruiting guy on here today, Evan. We're going to introduce all these guys. They're going to tell you what's going on. They're going to tell you what's happening. We're going to try to give you some horror stories and not what to do. Man, it's a moving world right now. I think there were 700 new MC numbers today and probably another 2,000 going out. And when is it going to stop? You know what I mean? That's the thing. We come on live all the time. We're always trying to help, and we have this panel. Now we're going to address recruiting and talk about the drivers. We always get into the diversity of owner-operators. How much does it cost? Setting up these authorities. We're going to start off with, we're going to let Penny get going and introduce herself, tell you who she is, what she's been doing, like she always does, because we always get new people that are coming to our group all the time. We're growing so fast. And Frank.
He said I'm now.
No, I know he's mad. I didn't even think about it. I totally forgot about it because Frank was on Tuesday. I totally thought about Frank being there. I figured the truck. So we'll switch something up here in a minute.
Kick Bob out. He sucks.
No doubt. Kick Bob out. He sucks. All right. We're gonna go ahead, Penny. Introduce yourself to the world. And tell them what you do in our partnership here and what part you play in it. And then give us some scoops and let them know what you have going on, because you got a lot of education for these guys, especially these new authorities. And if anybody's got friends with authorities that are planning on starting, go for it.
Yeah. I'm Penny Royston, owner of Evil Sizers Associates. And I've been doing this a long time, 30 years. We started back in 1990. And I'm back in town in Fort Worth right now. You can tell I'm in a hotel room. But I'm back in Fort Worth where we started. These are our roots. And it's kind of funny because the last couple of authorities I've done, they don't know where I am. They thought I was in Colorado, and they're right here in town in Fort Worth. So we still have a fun following here in Texas, and always like to be back. Even though I'm out of town, I'm still working, and constantly. So it never stops. When you're an entrepreneur, it just never stops. And I do get weird things every day. And I was just going through my mailbox, not my voicemail box, but my email box, and there's just always crazy things just going on. People kind of get ahead of the game. We file authorities, and I have a very, good process that I've tweaked out of all these years. And so what makes it difficult a little bit is when someone, they want me to handle it, but yet they're on the sidelines kind of handling part of it. And, you get this, Bob. And so that makes it a little hard for me because I've got a timeline I go through, and they're jumping the gun and trying to think, oh, I'll do this. Well, they've already paid me for that. And So, kind of jumping back and forth, it's best, we love doing authorities. We've been doing authorities since 1990. And really the process has changed just a little bit. I'm sorry, Shaggy?
I said, what's going on with the authorities right now that there's so many being held up? What are the mistakes so many people are doing? Because we get back to the same thing all the time. It's a myth. It's so easy. Just like when we get into heaven here in a minute, where everybody thinks recruiting is so fucking easy. Oh, easy, right? It's Family Channel.
Yeah.
If Frank was here, he'd let it go.
What I see is they just check boxes. And they pay more than they need to pay. Freight forwarder is the biggest box that I see checked. And, and you can look down on the list every day and see how many freight forwarders have checked that box, paid an extra $300. It's non-refundable. And then they've got to fix it. Well, we're in a mode right now with the government where it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get anybody to look at our stuff. So if it's wrong, we've got to send in paperwork. You can't fix this online. It just doesn't work. So, so then we've got to fill out all the paperwork, figure out what they want, send it in. So they're already a month behind. And that makes it really hard when, they're kind of chomping at the bit. They're paying insurance, perhaps. We always tell them, don't pay the insurance right now, because you're not going to be able to run for at least a month or two. So that's why it's so important. Pay the extra, several $100s. We charge $6.25 to do the authority. And, that's a steal, because we do so much monitoring on the back end to make sure that the account will get active when it needs to be. And, we filed the BOC electronically right away. We monitor it. We'll send out emails to partner, with all y'all here. So I don't know. I just think it's worth paying a little extra. It's definitely worth it if you mess it up and then out the money.
Why is it worth it? Because of the timeline when you already bought your truck and your freaking trailer and you're freaking already got all your freaking bills due.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think you're doing it easy, but you're not paying. You're paying that little bit of money to guarantee that your freaking authority's actually active when it's supposed to be. So when all those bills are due, you can actually get it going. The hardest thing is if we could record all the people that are out there going, oh, that's stupid. It ain't nothing, man. It happens. And all the people's stories are the ones that don't do it right. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of people that are calling us up at 21 days in, 30 days in, and their hubby quit his job because he didn't stay working until it went active. Or all this stuff's going on. These bills are due, and they're already almost in trouble before they ever start because then, they screwed that up and they don't have their MC number. And then now they didn't have their plates before they started, so now they have to go. Now they didn't have their plates either because they can't go get their plates until they get their MC and they're active. So now they can't even get their plates, and that might take another week or two, right? Because all this automated on these with the COVID and everything. Right. So what happens? If you're a month behind, how much is that worth?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You're more.
It needs to be worth the extra $200 or $300 that you're going to pay.
Well, you don't see it because no one goes and tells everybody out there how they messed up and how it almost crippled their livelihood by not getting it done the right way. They thinking they had it done because it's quick because I saved a couple bucks, right?
Well, and here's another issue I found. I'm doing the authority for someone, and I tell them, don't answer your phones because they're just going to try. There's marketers on the other end that are just going to redo what I've just redone, what I've just filed. Well, and lo and behold, when I'm filing an authority and I've already told somebody, don't answer the phone, I've already taken care of this. They've paid for the BOC maybe 2 or 3 more times because there's a marketer on the other end. I had another case today where a guy called in and goes, never mind, cancel my authority. I just got this letter saying that I'm going to be fined $10,000 a day if I don't do blah, blah, blah. And it was like, that is totally bogus, dude. Stop.
But the problem is with everybody else.
Stop.
The problem is, here's Evan. Evan, you're more than welcome to jump in and chime. You don't have to wait till we address you or whatever. You can jump in. It's a rowdy bunch, man. You have to get used to it. But think about it. How do you know? But Evan, how do you know what's real in this industry right now? I mean, you got so many schools, so many trainings, so many robocallers, so many guys. Isn't there? What if there's a problem where people are too scared to ask for help because they don't understand, or because how do we know what's real? Seems like sometimes you can't even trust the government. Oh, wait, I didn't say it out loud. We won't go to the government. But anyway, we want the government out of our business.
Oh, I'm going to show you some government stuff. That's what I'm here for today.
Well, go ahead, Bob. We'll jump on over to you. So go ahead and introduce yourself. And
Well, I'm Bob. I'm Bob with CTCS. You guys that watch the show know me because I'm on it. Semi-frequently here when Shaggy's running them, we tend to do a good panel. Ask questions, guys. That's what this panel's for. Let's create.
Type them in the comments, man. Authorities, compliance. If you here, we got the guy. We want to know. We have a recruiting person that does it all the time. We're going to introduce him in a few minutes. Whenever Bob introduces his friend to the group, he's going to be working with us because recruiting is huge. We hear about it 70,000 freaking times a day. I didn't know it was going to be this hard to get drivers. We didn't know this. We didn't know that. Drivers don't fall out of the sky. Blah, 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 blah. Drivers bad. How do we do drivers? How do we clear drivers? Why did we work with these companies that don't screen drivers? Man, I can sit here and ask like 8,500 questions about drivers, and everybody on here that's watching, it has a problem with it. I got trucks fitting. How do I get drivers? How do I keep drivers? How much does it cost? Go, Bob.
No, you just said it all. We're just going to let you keep talking.
No.
All right. So I'm going to introduce Evan here in a second. Evan's working with the group. We're gonna vet people the right way here. And what I mean by that is we're going to be vetting people to succeed in recruiting. And Evan's going to explain what that vetting process is. What makes a successful recruiter? What makes a successful company in hiring and recruiting drivers? We're on the driver compliance and the safety and the management. I appreciate you, Mark. I'm not sure how you couldn't reach me there, but I'll put my number up there at the end of this if you want to call me at the end of the show. Be happy to talk to you. But what we're going to do is this is a whole package in this little panel here. You've got Shaggy, who teaches obviously how to get your freight lanes, how to build relationships. He's a whole package on training. You got Penny, who does brand new authorities, setting up everything correct from the start. Now you've got safety, compliance, software, marketing, branding, and recruiting all in this panel. And when Frank is here, you've got a guy with 40 years of experience of running trucking companies and brokerages. So you guys should be tuning into this stuff. To be honest with you, you should be asking questions during this time because that's what we're here for. We're all taking time out of our day to help you guys learn to be successful. If there's something missing in your trucking company, we should be able to fill the void here. So Evan Rico is a recruiter. He's highly successful. The way I met Evan was through another company that actually used him to recruit a driver, had good success with them. He has a fantastic program, but there's going to be some things that you guys want to hear and understand before you start saying, hey, Evan, recruit a driver for me. There's some things that he's going to tell you right now, and realize in this season of freight is up. Drivers aren't complaining near as much as they were 4 months ago when they're marching on Washington. So they're less likely to hop because they're still making money, even if they're unhappy with their current lease agreement or their current employer. They're still making money, so they're a little less apt to jump, in my opinion, from one company to the next if you're not offering something that's pretty well structured. So with that, I'm going to let Evan take over here for the recruiting side. Evan, tell us what makes a good recruiting platform for, let's start with a brand new company that wants to bring on drivers.
Because that's the question every day before Evan starts going, man. You hear it. They didn't expect drivers to be so hard. They don't understand how much it takes to run an company driver in a truck, so they want to pay them a cheap 30% percentage of the top, or they don't want to do 60 cents a mile. How is a little guy going to compete with benefits on insurance and other stuff compared to the bigger companies? And is it better for me to have regional drivers when I'm trying to set up my company and run drivers, or is it better to do local, or am I going to have a harder time with the over the road? How hard is it to find teams? What kind of prices do I need to average to get teams? Want some more questions? See, I'm a trucking company talking. Evan.
Yeah. No. Okay. No. Thank you, guys. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is there's a lot of different, obviously, driver needs. There's ones that are a lot easier to fill out than others. The biggest mistake I see most companies make is, like I said, is a lot of it with driver pay. So that means that, I mean, everyone wants to, of course, but I can't tell you how many times I get companies coming at me that are saying, yeah, I need an over-the-road driver. I understand that. We all understand that. It's just, it's not going to it's just not going to happen. I mean, over the road in the sense that I want a guy to be out 4 to 6 weeks at a time. He can take 3 or 4 days at home, and and I don't even care what you pay him. Those drivers are extremely hard to come by, and it's what I mean is that right now the typical driver, I guess the sweet spot is regional drivers. That's where a lot of guys want to be local, some don't, but that over the road, that's just not happening. Since I've been doing this, like I said, those are my drivers. I tend to price way higher than others for companies. Regional drivers are much easier to come by, meaning home weekly. I know 2 weeks is kind of the stock standard average right now, but that's just not, even that's hard to come by.
So Shaggy,
I don't care what you want to pay either.
What if your program has people where they're set up to where they can go home on weekends and they're able to run a consistent pace? So like if you're hiring drivers that they need to make like, I don't know, they pay their bills is $3,000 a month, and these carriers are running consistently, and they're able to make that driver 6 plus extra benefits and keep them home on a regular basis. What kind of products does that product sell? If you could back it, home weekends.
It definitely does. Yeah, pay does help a lot. Yeah, pay helps. Things like benefits definitely help too. So I mean, like I said, everybody just like I said, this pay by the load stuff. Just as I had a company just come to me I'll tell you just a story. They came the other day. They wanted to offer just a flat salary weekly rate for drivers. They wanted me to find them a driver. It was something like $1,200 a week, and they said they get their drivers home every 2 weeks, and they could take 2 to 3 days off. I basically just told them, I'm not a magician. I can't find you. More like I'm not going to be able to find you the driver. Plus, they had a real limited hiring area where companies, I guess, tend to shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to hiring. It's not just pay. It's home time. It's a lot of different things. It's benefits. It's equipment. And then just how the driver's treated. There's so many times that I pre-qualified drivers, send them over to the company, and I've had them come back and say, the guy was a jerk, just straight up. The guy was just a jerk to me. I don't want to work for somebody like that.
So Evan,
that's a huge thing there. Or just
let me pipe in here, because the way Shaggy teaches and trains, all you guys that are in here, if you've been to Shaggy's training and consulting, you've gone through his dispatch, trucking, even the broker training. His routes and what he teaches you guys to do before you're ever out running, go ghost your trucks. You're home on the weekends. Your trucks are making $7,000, $6,000 a week, and your guys are home every Saturday, and all your hours of service, all the compliance, everything's met. Now, if I've got a program like that, and I can put drivers in the truck and they can make good money, let's just say an average of $1,500 a week or whatever, 50 cents a mile, whatever that number is, and running that 3,000 mile route coming back, how easy is it for you to bring a driver?
Oh, that's much easier. I mean, with Shaggy's program, what we talked about earlier between me and you, that's much easier.
So if these guys would stop going out there and freight chase, build a product that they can duplicate, and get these guys that are running in the same area all the time, where they're going to build more relationships and get better freight anyways, but because they're working with the same people. So if they go and keep their safety up, and instead of chasing freight, be more consistent. Well, then we're getting into the whole trucking thing, so I'm going to shut up. All right, yeah. So if they build
but it's basically what you teach. My point here is this is what Shaggy teaches. All these guys that are taking this course, all these guys that are watching this Facebook, this is Shaggy's program, and now you have a recruiter that can pop a driver in relatively easily if you can build that process that Shaggy just put in place for you. So why aren't we doing it?
Well, that's but then when he hires for the mega carriers, it's the same setup. When he hires for JB Hunt or one of these big carriers, he's either hiring OTR, or he's hiring a dedicated run, or he's hiring regional. Same thing. He's hiring an area where they're supposed to run a 300 to 500, whatever, 600-700 radius, and supposedly go home. They're all trying to do it, but and so then it gets into the part where with us, we're smaller. We're not the mega fleets. So you should be able to control your product and know your numbers with your carriers and your drivers better. Then there's people that are going to watch, well, not all drivers are good. Well, then we run into that part too, where you got to learn about You know, we got this. Evan probably runs it all the time. If you talk to 1,000 drivers, how many want to own their own crap? How many want to own their own trucks eventually? How many want to buy their own truck? How many of them are just doing company drivers and they can move ahead?
Majority, I would say.
Most, a lot. I come across that a lot. Yeah, I come across a lot. They all want to jump into a lease purchase. Is usually what they want to.
Well, that's going to bring up another topic for recruiting. Is you got 3 ways you can recruit a driver. We got the W-2 employee, right? We got the 1099 employee, company trucks. We've got an owner operator, and then you could have a lease purchase where you can turn your company truck into a lease purchase, which Shaggy teaches. So of all of those, obviously the W-2 is the easiest driver to recruit, right? For you, with right pay, right routes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. W-2 is usually the easiest to recruit. But I can't tell you how many drivers I come across. They want to jump into. I even mentioned I've had guys. I just said to guys like, why don't you just, go out and be an owner operator? That's too hard. That's too much, legwork. I don't have the credit. I don't have the capital. It can't be done. I would rather do a lease purchase, and I come across that a lot. When I lease purchase driver, the response is huge. I mean,
so there you go. There's your next best thing to do if you've got trucks in partner authority is to lease that truck right back to them.
I think
yes, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
I think Evan has really bad signal right now.
I think he does. He's kind of choppy. Can we get a reconnect,
Evan? Yeah. Well, Shaggy, you're on delay on mine.
Sorry about that.
My bars.
I see your mouth move before I hear
it. Oh, it's a Chinese. It's Kung Fu theater.
Yeah, it is.
For those of you from the 70s, Frank, that was for you.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, mine probably too.
So what else you got today about Evan and recruiting?
Guys.
So that's fascinating. So if you're out there and you're doing a lease purchase business and you guys need some lease purchase drivers, I know a guy named Evan to call.
Right. And we've got it figured out with how to vet these drivers through the safety and the compliance and all the processes coming in. So Evan can get the good drivers that you need on your side. And I'll tell you like this, in talking to Evan and we went back and forth on what's going to work for him and what's going to work for the group. He's going to give a 10-day guarantee for you guys. If you vet the drivers properly, we get through, CTCS program. We make sure we're checking out the drivers coming in. He's going to give you a 10-day guarantee. That means that driver gets to go drive 10 days for your company, and then his fees will come into play. So you get to go run a truck. And right now in today's market, my gosh, you can go make $7,000 blindfolded. Shaggy's grandma, deaf, dumb, and blind. She can book $7,000 a week, according to Shaggy. So you go make $7,000, and his fee's a pittance of that for getting you a good quality driver. You're well on your way to running your authority, right? I say that right, Evan?
Yeah, and if I can say, as I need for sure, and I can guarantee that it's. Yeah, you said it right. No, we have no issue there. I can only something I got to say to these carriers is you got to do your diligence in these drivers, and where we lose drivers most of the time is in. And that means when I give you a driver, and I mean we pre-qualified them, they're properly vetted, they're ready to. You need to make contact with them immediately, and you need to start the processing immediately. These guys didn't just apply to this one job and are just waiting by the phone to hear from you. They're getting hit up by recruiters constantly, all day long. Some I've heard their phone never stops ringing from them the moment they get up to them, till late in the evening with recruiters. So, and you need to start processing them immediately. That's where
somebody's got their.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's
breaking up a little bit.
Am I?
I'm not sure who it is. I think I'm good.
I'm good. I can see it. Is it Evan?
It looks like might be.
Yeah, I think he's going out. His screen's going white.
So while Evan's fixing the connectivity issue here, I'm going to take over a little bit, and we're just going to talk about what I hear the most in compliance and what I get requested the most. And Shaggy gets it too. Penny might even get it when she's setting up authorities. And the question comes up all the time: do you know how I can get drivers? I want to grow my company. Okay.
Every day, yeah.
It's an everyday thing for us. The reason Evan is a part of this is because We hear it from new carriers, established carriers, and everything. And when we're setting you up, guys, you know, Shaggy starts off with the teaching, the training, and how to build the maps and the roadmap. We're setting up your structure, your compliance, your safety, your marketing, so you have a presence, so you have a chance to recruit drivers, and you're not spending thousands of dollars a month on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or something like that trying to find drivers. Now we got a recruiter here that can bring drivers direct. So if that isn't a complete teaching, training, and showing package that provides the services you need, of course we've got the insurance, we've got, you know, Cornerstone and everybody over there that provides insurance. But at the end of the day, why are you not out there succeeding today is my question, because I see a lot of guys complaining, and I don't understand the
I
complaints.
don't really want to care and talk about the recruiting or anything like that. I want to know why it's so hard to get drivers. Everybody tells me who you can find and what you can do, but how the hell why am I having so much trouble finding them, man? I went out there like this guy said and went and got my authority and bought 3 trucks, and I can't get nobody who wants to drive it. Why am I having fucking trouble?
What are you trying to pay them?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking Evan. You brought a recruiter on, and I'm the trucking company, and people are watching, and I want to know, how do I get them in there? What do I pay? 30%? Do I pay 50 cents a mile? Shit, I got averages out there 60 cents a mile, and I got a truck sitting in the driveway. Why can't I get it moving? What am I doing wrong?
Evan?
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, right now, kind of the going rate with mega carriers, small fleets, everything is right around the 50 cent per mile range. A lot of drivers have trouble getting paid percentage of the load. That's a tough sell a lot of the time, and at flat salaries just definitely don't work. 50 cent a mile is pretty much stock standard. Most of the small carriers can offer more than that, 55, 60, 65, seen some go as high as 70. Usually pretty good response with that. But then the other part of that too, you're a brand new company. You know, you have no presence.
I am a brand new company.
People are just going to take a chance on you, damn.
Well, how do I paint an image to get
I understand that. Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's a challenge.
Now, your signal sucks.
Well, I mean, like I said, yeah, that's the challenge we face a lot of times.
Oh. Okay, so how do you overcome it, Evan?
Okay. I'm sorry about that guy.
He's coming in and out so bad, man. I can't even tell. We're going to have to dump him. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what. It's usually not this bad. I usually don't have this much issue.
Evan, how do you overcome a new company?
What's going on there?
How do you overcome a new company? That's the question in all the group.
How do I overcome a new company? Does I make up
recruiters? What can you do for me? I got 3 trucks. They're dry vans, and I live in Indiana. I only run the Midwest.
Right. Yeah. Pay. Definitely pays a huge one. I understand small companies can't offer benefits like the mega, so you got to make up for it another way. Being new is a challenge too. Equipment's big. How well maintained your equipment? The treatment of the drivers, that's huge right there too. You know, mega carriers treat their drivers just like a number. That's it.
What kind of equipment?
Just well-maintained equipment. I understand most aren't going to have tricked out Peterbilts and all that, but just well-maintained equipment. Somewhat newer. I've had some of these small carriers coming to me with 2008, 2009, old used fleet trucks, and a lot of drivers like ungoverned as well too. If your truck can be ungoverned or at least run 70 miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, in the states where it's applicable, I get you can't do that everywhere. The driver, if you're getting paid by the mile, the driver's going to want to run as many miles as possible. And home time is huge too. That's a big one too. If you can say you can get that driver home on the weekends, that's a huge selling point. Yeah, most
all these companies are coming in with this big myth that they're going to go out there, buy a truck, get their authority to find a driver, go run over God's creation, right? Unless the driver's inevitable, or maybe he's bilingual and he doesn't know what he's doing, or he's trusting the wrong person, or what, or vice versa. How is the market? So the market's changing, and if you talk to 1,000 drivers, how many of those 1,000 drivers, one, would want to lease, purchase, or own their own trucks? And how many of those guys want you in the conversations when you're doing your analysis? How many of them at least one time mention, I want to be home on weekends?
Pretty often. I mean, pretty often. At least consistent home time. consistent. It doesn't have to be every single weekend, but a consistent home time, or at least give them a day to handle their business. Maybe a couple of weekdays, weekends off, a day to handle business. That's huge right there. But consistent home time, and then more than just a 34-hour restart too, because that is just, I've seen so many companies make that mistake. It's just they want to just get a driver in for a 34-hour restart and get them, which I understand companies.
Signal's terrible, man. It's like
that ain't the way anymore. Most makers,
rather than being all over the place, Evan, in a quick. If I was a brand new carrier, I want to get drivers on. I own my own trucks. I bought reasonable fleet somewhere post 2015 trucks, all decently equipped, you know, sleepers, not doing any day cab stuff, doing normal stuff. I can route my people back home each weekend, and I'm going to pay them 50 cents a mile. Brand new carrier though, and I'm a decent guy. I'm not going to, you know, treat people poorly. Everything I say is going to be transparent, written in an employee agreement. What is my chances of having you recruit a driver for me as a brand new carrier?
Definitely good at that point. Very, very good chance of getting you to find somebody. Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm looking for a driver today, what would you tell me as the recruiter that my expectations should be? They're going to be W-2, be home on the weekends. They're going to be pre-planned routes.
Well, but the problem is 90% of the carriers that you're bringing into this slate that you're coming across that are going to be company drivers that you're talking about don't want to do W-2. They want 1099. So now,
okay, so then the other way we go with that person is we now do a lease purchase with the trucks I bought on my credit.
I lease purchase my truck because I don't understand that. And that's that, you know damn well that's not what's coming. These are guys that are buying trucks, they're putting company drivers in, and they think they're going to do 1099, and that's what they're planning on doing. Don't shit yourself. They're all listening. They're filing authorities. Penny's filing them, and that's what we're doing. We're not doing W-2s. And we're
trying to re-educate the people that are buying their trucks.
I am educating them, and I'm trying to get him to specifically tell them that that's why they're not recruiting. That's the whole point of this question, because he's sitting there telling you home time, getting them home, making them a consistent pay, right?
Yep.
And they want benefits in W-2, but if you can't do the benefits, you better at least do the W-2 because they don't want to worry about taxes, and you better complement with the pay, right? Am I wrong?
No, that's what he's saying. We had this conversation. That's why I'm stepping in, because of the connectivity. So, Evan, the difference between a W-2 and a 1099 employee in timeline for you to be able to find somebody, a 1099 versus a W-2, same miles, same pay, how much time do you need to find that 1099?
It's not the same pay for the carrier, because now I got more deductions. I got to take out payroll taxes. I got unemployment.
I'm talking about the end user, the driver getting the same amount of pay per mile.
And I'm the fucking trucking company here. And I'm asking questions as a trucking company. You want to know. So how does that play into the recruiting then? Because now I need to know my numbers anymore, because just doing the W-2 can break me if I don't have my numbers right.
Correct.
Always so much money to take off one driver. You can't go swing a magic wand and have more money pop up just because you're making the money right now and you're seeing $7,000 and $8,000 weeks. You still got to keep that driver around, right, Evan? Whenever they're not there, right?
Whenever the freight's different, yeah.
No. 1099 is not impossible to find. I didn't mean to give that impression. It's impossible to find. It's out there. As long as you make the driver non-force dispatch, then we can handle.
You're fine, Evan.
I'm sorry, what's that?
No, I was just trying to make a point, Evan, that it's very important because everybody that's watching our channel is going to be thinking about 1099, and you're telling them you recruit all day for big carriers and everybody, and you're telling them what the response is from hundreds and hundreds of drivers that you talk to through all your marketing, as that this is what they're looking for, and people are wondering, how do I fill my trucks and keep them?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, like I said, 1099 is not impossible. Just make the driver non-force dispatch and offer all the same perks you would any other W-2 employee. Some drivers do actually prefer it. It's not just across the board I have to be W-2, but there are those drivers that are just sticklers for that. They think doing 1099, they're doing something shady or illegal, and then they start hearing something fly by night, and they're less susceptible to take that job than somebody else that So that's what I mean. It's just,
no, that's what I'm
there
trying
it
to get
is.
you to say. That's what I want you to fucking say the whole time. I want these, sorry, Penny. I wanted these people to know the point of the difference. So should they, if they want to recruit at a high level and have company trucks like they want and they're coming into it, then they need to get to with the CPA or accountant and figure out what it's going to cost them to W-2 employee and how that's going to work, right? And then add that fee into their freight, right? Because now what do you do? Because now you're running into more trouble. You wanted the company trucks, but you're not willing to do the work to bring them in. You wonder why you can't recruit. But now you're talking workforce comp too. Right, Evan?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct right there.
So it is part of all
But-
factoring in your business.
Like I said, yeah, I get what you guys are getting.
I mean, what I see on my end is people kind of have this idea that they want to file for their own authority, and then they're not sure what their plan is. They haven't really thought it out well enough to even get to the recruiting. They know they need to recruit drivers to grow, but I don't know. They just need to. I always kind of encourage them to kind of sit back for a minute and figure out what they want to do. I mean, the other day I had a guy, he applied for a DOT, he really needs an MC, and he checked every single box on my application. And it's like, okay, well, let's calm down. You can't do household goods and general freight and cars and construction and logs and beams and all this at the same time, with one truck. It's just not going to work. So
I just want to leave myself open.
yeah,
'Cause I
just
don't know what
boil
a
down
home
to where you got to figure out
Hey,
what are you going to start out with.
Evan can get me drivers that specialize in all that. We'll just take logging drivers and have them go do drive in, go pull reefer, and reefer go pull flatbed,
Yeah.
and just flip them around because we could do it all. It's not a big deal. They won't mess up nothing up. Go ahead, Penny. Sorry.
Well, and I've had a guy that says, I just want to be power only so I can pull anything. Well, that freaks out the insurance company. They're just kind of like, wait. What is your niche? Figure out what your niche is and then go from there.
That all falls under have a plan. All you guys that are jumping up there and buying MC authorities right now that are watching are going to see this. Have a plan.
So,
And if you don't, it's going to be
Murder.
they set a plan. So you mean in a plan?
It's just
I don't hear people talk about recruiting in a plan. I don't hear people really understanding the drivers in the plan. I don't, and that's speaking of a plan. It's always funny. I always get people to call me and say, "Hey, I'm having trouble finding drivers," and then so suddenly I just turn around and I say, "Okay, well, who are you, Evan?" And you go to look for the carrier,
Yeah, that's
Evan.
absolutely right. That's the first.
How important is that in recruiting, Evan?
No, that's what. What's that? You mean?
Who am I? If I can't find you, I don't know who you are, and I don't know where you've been or what you're doing.
Where's your presence? What structure? Yeah, I can't find anything about you. Why would I drive for you? I ask that question all the time.
Know who you're working with for sure.
Nope. How are you going to get out there so people actually want to work with you?
That's a big one right there. Yeah, definitely have the knowledge of what you're working with.
I mean, how many times you went to try to help a carrier?
Right. Like I said, have some sort of presence. Know who you are. Yeah. Like I said, companies with zero sort of presence out there in the industry. It's, again, that's a challenge for us. We're not magicians here. Can I find you a driver? Yeah, but it might take a little longer and it might cost a little more. But it's, like I said, you have to have a presence. You got to establish yourself, and like I said, just that's huge right there. It's not just throwing a bunch of payout at a driver either. There's a lot of other little things that factor in finding a driver. So a lot of other little things. Again, it's not just pay. A lot of companies just think they're just going to throw out a bunch of pay, but how many miles are you giving these guys? It's 70 cents a mile, and then you can only get them 2,000 miles a week or less. That most drivers aren't going to even pay attention to. 2,500 plus a week, I would say, is a pretty good standard. And then, like I said, 50 cents plus a mile is pretty much the going rate. Even mega carriers in that. And then, like I said, good, consistent, steady home time. That's where we're at. But care themselves, yeah, they got to be some sort of, got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out there. Like I said, who are you? Why am I going to drive? Yeah, why am I going to drive with these guys? Who are they? I mean, I do my best in selling up companies and making them sound good, and I can put a pretty good profile together for them. But you got to do some, again, these companies have to do some of the heavy lifting, not all the heavy lifting, they have to do some of the lifting on their own, I should say. So that they expect me just to kind of do everything.
So Penny,
I'm sorry, about what?
Penny, how would checking all those boxes affect a broker? That was Isaiah's question.
I mean, if you check all the boxes, I mean, some of what I was saying is, household goods is different than cars, is different than general freight. That's kind of what I talk about as the top three. Checking all the boxes can be beneficial to a broker because they can actually see what they can haul. But it also, on the other side of the coin, the insurance doesn't like all the boxes checked because, that can really affect their premium. Hey, it's just the Penny and Bob show.
There we go. Oh, man. We had the A-team up there for a minute.
Are you answering the question right here?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, guys, whilst you're on here, man, we're kind of bounced around. So if you guys are watching the show, you're one of the 26 people that's on there, or I don't know how many people's on. I can't tell on YouTube and what we're doing when we switch like this. But anybody's on there has questions about compliance, brokering, dispatching, recruiting. You have trucks and you don't understand why you're not able to recruit. Let's talk about recruiting right now. Marketing for recruiting. Why can't you get trucks? Why can't you get owner operated? Why did you set your authority the wrong way? Go ahead, type them in the comments and we'll get to them right now. Go ahead, Penny.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, for a broker, I guess it could be beneficial. However, as a carrier, when you're checking all the boxes, it freaks out the insurance company typically. And if you're general freight, there's two sides of the coin that I always say. There's the L&I, the licensing and insurance, that shows your MC authority, and then there's a SAFER that shows your DOT, and they need to match. And maybe what you see on the SAFER side may not match up with the L&I side. So, for example, like household goods, you might decide to just like check mark it because you can on the SAFER system, but that's an extra filing on the MC side. So they have to match up together. And why that's important is if you're in an accident, maybe your insurance doesn't cover household goods, and you're just kind of out of luck and possibly out of business at that point. So everything boils down to insurance in this industry. It's really not the government regulations, safety, yes, but the whole premise of your authority is based on insurance. Oh, so here's somebody. FMCSA wouldn't let me check all the boxes when filing as a broker. No, as a broker, there are two kinds. There's general freight, which includes cars, and there's household goods, period. That's the only two options for a broker. So that's why. So brokers can do almost anything, but those are the two that check marks, and they're each a $300 filing fee. So a lot of people don't realize that either.
Yep. I've seen people file mistakenly, Penny, and I've literally, when they were giving refunds, I saw $1,800 filing one time. We did get him back his $1,500, but oh my gosh, $1,800.
Yeah,
so
now
let's talk about what, Penny said it could put you out of business if you do this wrong. We add household goods and you don't get your claim covered by the insurance. There's a lot of little nitpicky things that a lot of new carriers just don't understand with paperwork, filings, business side, structure. And I'm going to give you one that I ran across yesterday, and Shaggy saw it, but I'm not going to post it here. This one is an audit, and Shaggy keeps talking about bad audits, okay? This guy submitted his hours of service for February because he got audited and all the other paperwork they were requesting. And at the end of the day, the DOT agent left, said, okay, you're good, walked out, didn't put him in conditional status or do anything. And about a month and a half later, 2 months later, he gets a letter from FMCSA for $33,570 in civil penalties. All you guys out there running right now,
Wow.
okay? How many of you could afford a $33,000 hit? Can you? And he supposedly had a company telling him, yeah, we're watching this and that, doing this and that. He did not have an in-house safety director. And at the time of this audit, he had 7 trucks and grew to 11 by the time the audit got done. That's not a very big company.
Wow.
A $33,000 hit is a pretty good, solid hit. So Shaggy tells you safety and compliance, keep track of your business, learn how to do it, learn how to oversee all this. Don't job this stuff out all the time. Make sure you got a good handle on every part of your business. When I say don't job out your dispatching, don't job this out. Learn how to oversee it all.
Well, why are you starting it in the first place if you're not going to freaking know it all and do it right? I mean, what the hell? You're only going in the largest, fucking, most richest business in probably the world if you add it together. Why the hell would we do it right? Why don't we just jump in and half-ass it? Sounds like a really great idea.
Yeah, it's a way to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because freight's good. That's why.
Well,
because I could put a truck out there tomorrow and make $9,000. That's why.
I know. That's why there's 700 authorities right now. This morning.
Make a lot of business each and every day. So,
Here's a question from Isaiah.
Go ahead. You're the authority queen.
All right, is there a difference? Is there a difference when filing for an authority as a hotshot compared to big trucks? When we're doing that, we just want to kind of clarify the gross vehicle weight, which is maximum weight of the truck, trailer, and load. Whether you're over 26 or under 26, it doesn't really have a whole lot of effect on insurance unless you're under 10,000 pounds. It has more to do with Bob's end of it, with the safety and compliance. So, good question.
That is a great question, guys. Feel free to bring on more questions, guys. Compliance, safety, starting your authority, recruiting, and lay it out there. I want to know, man. I want to know, because I hear it every day. I see it everywhere. Recruiting. How do I recruit? How important is compliance to the recruiting? It's all a weird timeline. That it's very, very important nowadays. How important are drivers focusing on CSA scores now, their PSP scores, compared to what they were a couple years ago, Evan? How concerned? Are they getting more concerned now about their driver's license CSA score? I mean, they're getting educated about it. They want to know. They don't want these. How important are they starting to pay attention to their livelihood of their license now that their ass is on the line compared to what it used to be? Those points.
I wish I could say they are more concerned, but honestly, they're not. Drivers
Why?
kind of have this just kind of reckless. Not all. I mean, I'm not generalizing here, but they just kind of have a reckless attitude. Why? I mean, that's an attitude of a lot of drivers. A lot of them do not care as much as you think they would, like you said, about their score, and about PSPs are huge right now, bigger than ever, and most drivers, that's where we lose a lot of drivers, is on the PSP end. And that is, again, like I said, they don't have that much concern.
That's terrible, isn't it, Penny?
Yeah, they need to care. They need, Dad always said, know who you're doing business with. It's all public information, so there's no reason not to look it up.
Then why the hell did you go get the fucking CDL and go through all that training school in the first place? What are you?
And a nick on your authority like that can really affect you as the carrier.
Yeah, let me tell you what that 33,000 entailed. It was 2 drivers primarily. Out of his 11 trucks, 2 drivers in that month of February were the ones that caused him the most issue on that $33,000.
Yeah, so that stays on his record, and the other guys can go move on and do whatever they want.
Yep.
Evan, we have trucks sitting in Indiana. They were offered 50 cents a mile and home every weekend and $10.99. And if they needed help with taxes being held back for their owner operators, we would hold back a percentage a week to help them pay their taxes in a savings account and give them a check.
Wow.
What do you think of that? Is that a good idea? To compensate for W-2? Is that a good idea if you have a program set up like that and you can still pay them good?
there's no problem there. I would need a little more info on what your need is and what the position is. There's no problem there with what that at all. I've honestly never really heard of a company doing that. So that's interesting right there. But 2014, yeah. I mean, like I said, have to know a little more about the company, but that wouldn't be too much of an issue finding you a driver. No, need more on, like I said, requirements. This is an insurance industry more than a trucking industry. That's all we have to go by too.
Insurance is our biggest killer.
That's how we can help. Yeah, and that's it.
Yep.
Lately, we've had a lot of issues with insurance.
Well,
we've had so many issues where we've had to do so many name changes lately because the insurance company said, no, it needs to be in this, but yet Secretary of State over here says it should be in this. And so, I mean, the government doesn't care, sort of, but there's just a lot of issues going on lately with name changes. And I think why is people jump the gun and buy the truck first before getting the authority. And if you do it in the right order, it's going to go smoothly or smoother. And one thing we found out you cannot have as a name with the government is like your name doing business as, let's say, Royston Express LLC. That's not the same as the record shows on Secretary of State, and it should all match. And if it doesn't, you're going to end up doing a name change later on when everything comes up for renewal.
And how much problems are we having, right? I know we're bounced back and forth between recruiting, but this whole broker era coming on, Penny, right now. How many times are you seeing people get in trouble right now with the confusion of adding brokerages with their trucking company?
Daily. Yeah.
Every day.
And, as far as the application, you can pick whatever box you want. Government doesn't care. It's the insurance that cares. And then you got to back it out. And then it takes 3 to 4 weeks to do that. And then the customer's mad,
The favorite part is, I don't know why they won't give me quotes no more after they catch you mess it up and the insurance company sees all the blemishes in the mess up. They're like, why are my quotes so high now? Why do they go so much more? Because they don't have to give you a quote if they don't want to. They don't owe you anything.
Yeah. So Ava James asks, what's the right order? Well, what's the right order is get your name established with the Secretary of State, get your EIN, apply for authority, then buy the truck.
Missed one.
What did I miss?
Have a business plan before you spend any money on anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, please. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a business, guys. It's a business. If you don't have a plan and you quit treating it like, it's just a truck running down the road. No, this is a business. And the government takes it seriously. That's why you have heavy civil penalties.
Hey, I just want to open a trucking company and let brokers run me around because they have my best interest in their hands.
Yeah. All right, sir. You have a great day. Thank you.
Brokers have your best interest?
What'd you say?
I might ask you the question about why truckers were marching on Washington a few months ago.
Yeah, but I don't want to bring that up no more. It's just a funny thing because how many guys right now are out there building relationships with these brokers, and you go every day and you look at the spot market map and the freight waves thing, and you look at that red shade get smaller and smaller, right? And will it pick back up and get crazy? Because you still see the freight chasing numbers, but a lot of the consistent numbers in different markets are going down slowly, and brokers are starting to bring their money back, and the freight rates are starting to go up. What will all these people do if it was to level out and go back down to $1.80, $1.60, $1.70, $2 a mile, and $2.20, $2.30 a mile again, like next month?
Yeah. What if that happens? The election
I
month.
was asking. I've seen it happen many, many, many times.
Multiple times in a year. So if you're trying to get a driver first off, I wouldn't be recruiting that guy, because if he wants to sit on his butt in unemployment for an extra $300 a week, he isn't in my driver pool.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, Joel, why would we even consider that to be, they can sit on their ass. That guy doesn't want to drive anyway. And yes, the government takes it seriously from a civil collection standpoint of collecting civil penalties, from you'll do this right. Or we won't authorize you. In Penny's case, your authority could be sitting there for 60, 90 days if you don't take all the right steps, and you're still not going to be process. You're still not going to be authorized for property. There's state entities that get involved. It's not just the federal government. You got states. It depends on where you're at in the states. This whole thing is if you're not in the industry from a business standpoint, and you know all you've done is drive truck, please get with somebody that knows that'll guide you. Get with somebody that's going to guide you the right way, that has your success in mind. And then if you don't have that, you don't trust anybody outside your network, then find somebody that understands trucking and business and put them in your office and pay them to do so. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you got to pay attention to a lot as a trucking company. It's not just one or two little things. We're talking about freight. We're talking about recruiting. We're talking about safety. We're talking about new authorities.
Regardless what we start talking about it for freaking 3 years, man. When are people going to understand how much does it take to be a driver? How much does it cost to add a truck? Where am I going to get the freight from? If that truck can't run, how am I going to make more money? Do I add on owner operators? How do I do it? What's the point? Still have an accident. If Mabel pulls out in front of my truck tomorrow and smacks her, and head's laying on the steering, on the column of the front of the truck, or on the hood of the truck, am I prepared to? Is all that stuff in order to make sure that I'm 100% confident right now that I would make it through that audit? If my driver was in the right place, then it's a happen. Would I be confident that I was supposed to be there? It was my livelihood. As my livelihood.
Nah, it's okay. I'm just going to go start another company and shut this one down. I'm good.
Right. My livelihood.
Oh, man. We used to see that all the time.
Yeah, I had somebody call yesterday. Hey, can I just do this? He's got 2 bad companies on safety. I already told him first time around, it's so bad it's not even funny. You're just trying to be a criminal. No, we don't want to help you start another one. And I'm not even going to educate you on how to start another one, because you're just going to do it again.
Right.
But why?
You know, at that point, it'd just be better to be a company driver.
Yeah, just go lease on to somebody who's got their stuff together, you know, or be a company driver like Penny said. Make clean money.
Or McDonald's.
So why don't we we do this panel every week? We do these things. Why do we not have a plan? Why is it not important to know how to get customers before we start? Why don't we do this? Why don't we understand how hard it is going to be? Why don't we study recruiting before we even purchase the truck?
Why don't we know why don't we understand how the freight market moves, and then when we're stepping into it, you know, how much money we can make today. Today would be the right time to start a trucking company if you had some wherewithal about you, because freight is up and you can recoup your money pretty quick.
How many times do people, hey, Evan, how many times do people, here's a good one for you. How many times do people work with you and get a rhythm of recruiting going, right? Where you help them get the marketing going. You help them, you tell them what they need to fix. You tell them how to fix it. They get it done. You start putting a couple of drivers in the truck. And then they get their trucks full and they get comfortable, right? And then they shut down their marketing. Stop recruiting. Stop putting their name out there. Stop that rhythm. How do you do that?
Yeah. Pretty. Yeah, that's pretty common. A lot of companies, well, most companies, smaller companies can't process obviously at the capacity that a bigger company can. So a lot of these companies, again, they don't do themselves any favors when they say we need drivers. I've had cases where I've sent multiple over, and they can't process them fast enough. And so, but by then, usually a driver, you got about 48 hours with a driver. And if they don't hear from the company, or they don't at least realize the wheels are turning, a lot of them just lose interest. And again, like I said, that phone's blowing up for them. They back out. They're gone within usually 48 hours. Is about all you got.
Yeah, they probably 3 or 4 guys on.
But yeah, so many times carriers will.
Hey, when you're recruiting drivers, Evan, does experience when you're in a recruiting thing will experience clean drivers. You know, you can place at multiple places, be more competitive than one that's not. Like, will they actually offer more, change the numbers for one that's really, really good that you can tell it's all clean, no tickets, experience, proven references.
You mean how easy is it to get them placed?
No, like when you're competing and it gets headhunting, and you know there's another one chasing one, and you know he's making money off of them, or a team, are they changing the rates and fighting for them like crazy? I already know the answer. I'm just asking you. That's what market. Your signal.
That isn't too much of an issue there. I'm looking at This question from Mark: why is there capacity? Where did the drivers go? The drivers are out there. It's right now. What's being flooded ever since COVID is trucking schools are doing recruiting of drivers like no other. So tons of new drivers have jumped in, but that doesn't help these smaller carriers where they have to have the 1 or 2 year minimum experience requirement. As far as the start of COVID, retention has gone up 40% in the industry, which is great for a carrier, but that's for us as recruiters and finding new drivers, and drivers that are experienced and they kind of staying put because of the uncertainty right now with what's going on with COVID. And I mean, they can definitely switch, but just guys just aren't jumping ship like they were, like, say, a year ago when freight was down. Drivers were hopping just fine. Yeah, they were chasing pennies everywhere. And so that's kind of, but that's not the case right now. And so that's where I is at. Like I said, tons of new drivers flooding the market, but most ones, no.
Yeah, dude, you're six, man. Yep.
Jules got it.
Do what?
Jules nailed it. The why is because we were told it was easier, or we thought it was easier than it is. Yep. Yep. For sure. And I think when you start any business, I don't care what it is, what industry it is, you need to have a plan and you got to put the work into it. It just takes time to get it built up.
And it does take time. And once you start adding each one of these levels, you start getting your compliance ready to go. You get your MC set up. You start getting that plan. How many trucks do I want to be at this year? Am I going to do 1099? Am I going to do W-2? And am I going to have to do workman's comp? How much money will I need per mile to be able to average that, or to be able to get them home on weekends? Then where will my extra money come from if one of those trucks is down? How will I diversify? Then how will I take those trucks and get off the load boards and build relationships, get customers, and all that stuff? Isn't this so important to be thinking about that? What the hell are you doing? You're opening a fucking trucking company and a brokerage or a business. Why aren't we doing this before we actually go active? Let's spend the money.
And spend the money.
Just get the cart before the horse.
Yeah. I mean, did somebody out there make a rule or a law that we don't see that's hidden somewhere that says you have to do it the way they're doing it? That's right. You're not allowed to research. You just have to do what everybody else does.
Yeah, Mark's hit it on the head. There's only a shortage of good qualified drivers.
What Mark needs to understand is, Evan just said it a few minutes ago. If Evan talks to 1,000 drivers in the next 30 days, how many of them want to be a company driver?
Yeah, that's the fun thing.
Or own their own truck.
Like Evans.
The majority is they want to own their own truck. That's what I talk to. Everybody thinks they all want to come in rich, and that.
Yeah.
Everybody has that. I'm gonna be rich if I own my own truck. There's
driver fresh out of school want to be owner operators, which is just absurd to me. But I talk to them on a daily.
So even the new guys want to go straight into lease purchase owner operators. They don't care. Put it out. Put the helmet on. Hear me roar.
Yep. Still can't drive a stick.
Guys. Yeah.
I'm not against it. I'm all for it. I think we lost.
Some of my clients, they haven't researched the cost of insurance. And so, we're monitoring their account to death because they got sticker shock for insurance. Yep. So I always think
but hold on, why is if you want to get your authority though, and you have a 2-year plan, right? You already have a plan of what you're going to do. Why is the cost of interest? It always amazes me, right? Because if I go, let's say I have the $5,000 to put down, but I'm freaking the hell out over the $20,000, right? That it's going to be per year.
Yeah.
And I put the $5,000 down. Well, even if I still want my $5,000 back that I put down, and I want to make a living too. So why is it so hard for me to take $20,000? Divided over 43 weeks, which is 10 months, so I know what it is weekly. Take that with my $1,250 fuel, my truck payment, my trailer payment, my $500 fixed cost, and total that together, and then figure out how much more I want over that and do that weekly.
Well, I haven't talked to you yet.
Oh. Oh, that's right. I was just wondering because, I mean, why is it so scary to invest in your business when you have a plan and you understand where to do it? And why are you going to go out there and freight chase like crazy to get it just when it's good instead of working on building something that you know you can duplicate every week? Why are we doing that? Why do we even get our authority?
Yeah.
Go ahead, guys. You comment. I'll shut up.
Go,
There are
Bob.
there are some meant to be employees. There are
Yes.
some meant to be business owners. I don't care what industry that is.
Yep.
Yes.
At the end of the day, there's those two people. It's a capitalistic world. If you want to take advantage of the ability to go be a business owner, then you need to plan as a business owner. Not just say I drove truck for 20 years and now I'm going to go start my own authority because I got an extra 20% I can make over here because this guy's jerking me around on a lease agreement. I'm sick of it. I got a truck. Let me go start my authority. You know nothing about the business from a business standpoint. You have no plan. And everybody, I would say 90% of the people starting their authority that I talk to, one of the first questions I ask, why'd you start the authority? What's your plan? What's your goal? And I'm going to tell you like this. Well, I just wanted to start out on my own and drive a little bit. Then maybe I'm going to add some trucks a little bit later, 6 months, 8 months. I would say most of the people have that thought of adding and building a company when they start out, but they're only sure of themselves. So they say, I'm going to go drive the truck. I'm going to go control this. I'm going to go control that. And they don't know enough about the rest of it. They're confident in their ability to perform over the road, but they're not confident about the business side. So why not research the business side before you start your authority? Why not understand it first and what it's going to take to succeed? What you need to build a business. Because that's in the back of all their minds.
I always think about all these lease purchase programs. Man, I love them. I'm going to look them all over the place, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, man, we must live in a really fucking global world, man. You know, you think about it, because all these people own these big, badass trucking companies with these really expensive $160,000 trucks. And I just got out of trucking school or only been in the business for 2 years, and they're just waiting in line to give me one with no money down or nothing. I just walk right in, take an orientation, and they give me keys. And I only got $5 in the bank. It sounds like a wonderful idea. I always wondered what part of the business that you're getting into that you you think that's a great idea when the company's like, here's your keys. Here, take it. You're gonna pay on this for 3 years, and then we'll have you breakdowns. Yeah, you're gonna pay it out of your $300 check because we're not. I mean, you get a truck, you might get a warranty, you might not get a warranty. It's all. I mean, I always ask all these owner operators out here that aren't doing lease purchase, actually bought the truck the right way, how well those warranties work out for people when they're in them. You know what I mean? They're always so great. And you know what I mean? So you get this guy that's going out there, and everybody's excited to go, and they get these trucks, these new ones that are like licking their chops. Well, you know, and I understand. You go out there and you make $1,500 a week as a company driver, and you make $1,500 a week, and you're hopefully paying off your truck, but it's not the same. You're not listening. They're going to jack you for the plates, the insurance. They're going to jack you for the breakdowns, everything. They're going to jack you for the failures, the tow truck calls, and all that stuff. And you ain't got no money in the bank, but you just came Billy Big Rigger out there in a Billy.
Oh, no, by the way, the miles that they promised you at the beginning of all that, you may or may not get.
If you do, there's no quote. I know I've talked to a couple drivers he's getting by. Well, that driver has no family, no wife, no kids, and he lives in the truck 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You're getting your opinion from. Understand what you're doing. You know, because you think about it. If a guy was really serious in helping me with a lease purchase program and he really valued his truck, wouldn't he want something down for it? I mean, even the smartest guys in the world that sell trucks don't just give them away unless your credit's 900. You know, I mean, really good. So wouldn't they want something down for it? And when they want to talk to you about escrow and put you in maintenance programs, I mean, obviously, if they're going to sell you a truck, wouldn't you want to be committed to something? Wouldn't you want to be committed? I mean, I don't understand the process. I know the process of why they do it, because they're not paying for nothing, and you're giving them free money, and they're just done with it. They're making money on the freight, the equipment, the trailers, the everything, and you're letting them do it. Why? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you go get your experience, save up the money as a company driver, and go get your truck on your own way so you have control and you're the one in the driver's seat?
Oh God, I wonder that on the. Every time I talk to one of these guys, yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, and then you also forgot to leave out a lot of these companies that have a balloon payment at the end. Yeah.
What did you say? Oh yeah, the balloon payment at the end. That's a good idea. They gave me the truck for free, but I got to pay it off for 3 years, and then I give them $100,000.
Yeah. It is so common. Yeah, I like you said, guys fresh out of school signing a lease purchase is insane to me, but it's done every single day.
We won't mention any companies named Prime.
No.
But you can't even. Why would you dog Prime? Because Prime has it has different programs. They actually have training in there. When I was there for almost 3 or 4 months, when I was in on my first truck I bought, we and my daughter and my kid, we had the Cascadia. That's the first company I was an owner operator on. They had their hotels over there. They had training thing. Rob Lowe's always constantly teaching people about speed and mileage stuff. Whether I believe anything about Prime, I'm just saying. Even though I still think their program sucks and you're limited freight because you don't control it. And I think if you're going to go do a lease purchase or own your own truck, you should do it under your own authority or be an owner operator where you purchase a truck. I don't think you should do it that way unless the only time I think you should do a lease purchase is if somebody's selling a truck where you're putting money that you've earned and built up so it's more valuable to you instead of having the mindset. Because if you go into a lease purchase already and your mindset's, well, I'll just walk away at the end if they don't like it, fuck it. That's the mentality of trucking that you're coming into. That's what you learned. That's what you're coming from. That's the kind of proudness or pride you take in the business you went into.
Yeah. That's very common. That's very common. I come across that attitude all the time. Yeah.
Right.
You know, there just needs to be a huge shift in attitude, from drivers. Yeah.
That's what the group's doing. That's part of the thing we're working on. That's why people like you are here. That's why we're all hunting for every avenue that we can, because this is problems in the industry that we need to understand about. See, this has been a great informative show. We've learned the difference between 10%, 1099, marketing, W-2s, and all that stuff. It's been great. We've learned a lot of stuff about recruiting, why it's so hard, the rates that are going out there. And will people listen? Who the hell knows?
But we're trying. We're putting it out there, man.
I hope.
It's like we come on. I mean, how many new MC numbers you think you guys done over 30 years, Penny?
Oh gosh.
I mean,
we followed over 100,000 DOCs, so maybe 10,000.
Dang, that's a lot. You get a lot of experience and meet a lot of carriers and hear a lot of stories. When you that's a hell of a lot of experience to use as somebody just started yesterday, 30 days ago to set a truck, right?
The most we've ever applied for in 1 week was 25 authorities.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just one company.
Yeah, that's just us. But 25 different customers.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got one today. Jumpstart Group out of Saginaw, Michigan, about to file. They're saying they're under 10,000 pounds.
Hot
so
shot.
Verifying that first.
Sprinter van.
Yeah, probably. Straight trucks, one non-CDL driver. But I just like to verify. You know, I do all my checks and balances in the beginning.
But you have to, because you'll be the first one they're crying to whenever they're losing.
Yeah. Yeah. So just reached out to them.
So the call that I had this morning, right before this meeting, came from one that's eventually going to get going, I think. But she didn't sign up for roadside assistance. She kept trying to get her driver to sign up for roadside assistance. She's running her uncle's company, trying to get him to correct things. Just so you guys know the stories. Guy's been driving forever. The authority is a 215 number, so it's been in business for a bit. It doesn't have a very good safety score. I went and looked that up while we're talking. But she goes, I kept trying to sign up for roadside assistance, and I look at the account. $20 in the account, negative $150 in the account, $20 in the account, negative $1. When freight is up around $3, $4, $5 on load boards, and you can't keep this truck running, and he called up yesterday, and he broke down. What does that tell you about this guy, this company, this everything? So now he calls her up and he says, hey, did you get that roadside assistance I told you to get? He never had the money in the account to do it. So I go on, courtesy of Shaggy, I go on DAT Power, and I says, you guys are right there in the Ohio area. We run you right. She goes, yeah, he runs that all the time. We found $4 freight, $5 freight, running through Cleveland to Memphis to Indiana, all through there. Pepsi's running loads up there in $6 and $7. Guys, if you cannot come up with a business plan that gets you successfully started and you run into this after 3, 4, 5 years, man, just lease on to somebody. You're not a good business owner. It may not be for you. We're not trying to dog you. We're just saying lease on, let the guy that knows the paperwork, how to run trucks, how to route them, how to do all that stuff, let them make you money. And then just buy your truck if that's what you want to do and make a little better than a company driver.
That's another great point Mark just made about the stupid lease purchase program where you walk into without no down payments, where they just tell you come in and you leave. Yeah, and they don't even teach you about your numbers that you need. They don't break down the maintenance cost. They don't tell you about everything. They just throw you in a truck, and then they want you to do it while all the load board rates are really through the roof. You're out there doing it for $1.40, $50, $80, maybe $1.90 a mile.
And who's really making the money?
Well, that's why they gave you a truck for free, dummy.
Yep. Right.
Guys, we're all safety and compliance over here. I'm going to have to bow out of this. I've got an appointment coming up. CTCS Inc., www.crosstcs.com, 888-493-3152. If you have any questions, you can give a call. I know a couple of you are going to call me. Mark, I look forward to talking to you. If you got that number, you can call me direct at extension 401.
Type it in the comments, goofball.
I can't. I tried to on the other side, and I can't seem to type in those comments.
What is it? Oh, Penny's got it. Go ahead, Penny. You better leave something out. Let me see my typing.
I just had.
No.
What happens when you only have an 8th grade education?
and you got AC. What is it? ACHD and squirrel moments, and you're helping 1,000 people at the same time. I got it.
I was telling a guy how to hire dispatchers the other day. I told him you go find somebody that's an overachiever, has ADHD, talks really, really fast, and has a really long story for a background that's hungry. And you'll be good. And make sure they have to multitask. And if they can't pay attention to anything, they're perfect for dispatching.
Thank you, Penny.
You're welcome.
Mark, look forward to talking to you. I'm about out. Evan, pleasure.
Nice talking to you, Bob.
All right, guys.
But Penny, tell them goodbye and give us some pointers, some tips how to find you and what website and what you got going on and your little Facebook group and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I posted it earlier. Just scroll up in the comments, but it's evilsizer.com. We've got an array of things. We've got a new program called Interstate Authority Workshop where we teach you how to check your authority, how to check someone else's authority. There's some hands-on videos that you can go in and watch. We've got a private page. You have to be a part of the workshop program in order to be accepted into the private Facebook page. But I'm here. I love to teach people how to do it themselves. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I do a lot of things myself. My taxes, my website. There's so much I do to save money. So I get it. I get to be a wise guy. And I just want to educate people on how to do that.
Hey, Evan, we can hear every time in your office.
I'm sorry.
All that paper you're writing is really loud for all these viewers listening.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I've
really been live before. I know you're going to get used to it. It's weird when you go live. It's getting used to everything. I remember the first time I went on like Auto Transport Intel. And Jay's so professional. The guy behind me, Jay, he's like, "You got to do this. It's got to be perfect like that." Man, if I had to be perfect at everything I was doing and have everything lined out and communication errors together and not cussing or what, I mean, I could leave out the cussing part, but it's hard to talk truckinese without cussing. You know what I mean? It seems like you try to be polite and put it across the simplest form. And you can't do it with these people. You have to tell people how it is. Be real. I don't understand how people do it without talking because it's like you're repeating yourself already 17 times. It's like, didn't you get this through your head? I mean, it's not fake. I mean, you think about it. Like every day I wonder when people think about it, well, you have your authority, your company guy, how important they have to understand that you're still controlled by the feds. You basically work for them. You don't do anything. So when the feds are involved, it's a serious business and we can't joke around, right? We're not supposed to. We could try, but we're not going to be in business long. And a lot of these guys make money, but doing it wrong and shortcut and stuff like that. No one said you can't, but it's going to end. And how long? The ones that have been in business for years and years and years, they might have done stuff. Everybody does something, but they're there because they do it right. They have systems, they have partners and stuff like that. So, Penny, anything else for these guys?
Not today. I'm gonna go file this authority.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you in the boot camp Monday at 6 so you can help all our trainees and students learn how to do this again.
I'll be back in town.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Penny. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Go ahead, tell them who you are and how to get a hold of you there, Evan, because that's the biggest story. Everybody, what makes you different as a recruiter and all those other guys out there, and how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, what makes us different is, yeah, we will actually set up a specific campaign just for you and your position. I can't stress enough to open up your hiring pool. That's huge for companies. I've got companies come to me say, I want to hire somebody out of Central Indiana, and they got to have 2 years experience, and they got to go over that. I mean, yeah, I said I can't do magic. So I mean, you open up your hiring pool as much as you can. You might not be able to hire all 48, and sometimes that just doesn't make sense with the lanes you're running. But yeah, and find a way for a guy to get to you as well too. A lot of companies say, well, I put the cost on the driver to get to me. They can pay for their own bus or car or plane or what have you to get to me, and their own.
They're not going to do that.
No, and I mean, no driver's gonna do that. But I had so many companies say, just I don't want to put forth that money if they come here and they don't work out. Well, I say, well, process them first, then get them there. Yeah, a lot of them want to do the processing once the driver is there, and that's insane to me. It's like, no, do your PSPs, your backgrounds, your NVRs. If you even do your drug screen if you want beforehand. That's kind of dependent on the carrier. There's some that find it more beneficial to do the drug screening before they arrive, and some do it when they do get there.
How can somebody get a hold of you, Evan, so they can get help?
They want to get a hold of me. My direct line is 559-308-2410.
208.
Yeah, 559-308-2410. My email is evan@ricorecruitingservices.com. Website, we have an app website that's.
Type that in the comments on the show too. Down there in the bottom, there's a little box in there that says type.
Yeah.
Put all your stuff in there later after it's over with, or you can do it while it's on.
Yeah, I can do that afterwards for sure. Yeah, let me get that, and yeah, I have a couple websites there, and yeah, just provide me with I always send out an employer questionnaire first, have the employer fill that out because that helps me assess their needs. I don't, there's a lot of questions to ask. I get that. It only takes maybe 5-10 minutes. Get that filled out with as much provide me with as much information as possible, and I can help the carrier in that regard much easier. There's some that just provide me with real basic info, and that doesn't help me at all. Then we got to go on the phone, and we got to go over everything and with a fine-tooth comb, and it's just just provide me as much information as possible in that questionnaire, and I can help you and assess your needs and get you the driver you want. Deliver on your promise too. There's a lot of times where carriers they make the mistake of telling me one thing, then telling the driver another thing. And no, we're not a BSer. We don't lie. We're not like your typical, mega carrier recruiters where we're gonna just make everything, be a polished turd. We just we tell the truth. What the information you provide us is what we provide to the driver. But we do, like I said, a whole pre-qualification, pre-screening process. So yeah, we're not a lead source. We don't just send out a bunch of leads to you and say here you go and good luck. So.
There you go. Got a question?
We do both. Yeah, we help companies and we help drivers. We do both. I mean, well, what good is helping companies if we don't have drivers? So yeah, so we definitely. I mean, but yeah, we do both. Definitely send, and when we can get somebody hooked up anywhere. I mean, that's it. But yeah, and then we don't. And then yeah, and if we send a driver to you again, it just act on it fast as a carrier. Yeah, just act on it fast. That is none of this. I'll get to them 2 or 3 or 4 days from now, and then that driver's long gone by then, long gone. And that is a huge mistake that most of these carriers make. If I see you drive, you should be calling them right then. I'll tell you. I'll give you the report on them, let you know everything. They got that. The app is filled out, sent to you, your full DOT app. Whatever that system is, we can provide a full DOT app. I highly suggest you have your own. It's much easier that way, whether you're using a Tele app or 10 Street or Driver Reach. And that's much easier to help, to help the the carriers. So, and like I said, have some sort of presence, make a generic website, anything. I mean, I'm sure you help them with that, Shaggy. I'm sure you help those
That's a
carriers. Okay.
Well, I'm going to have to hop
Yeah,
off here. I got more rolling to do. I want to thank you for coming on. And anybody that wants to get a hold of you can, and we'll have you on again here at least once a month talking about recruiting. You can bring tips and tricks and all that stuff to the show and help these guys out. Hopefully, you'll have a lot better signal.
Yeah, I apologize for the AT&T. Well, I just had I think it's my computer. I had a Windows update last night, and now this thing's been running slower than.
Mine did an update last night too, man. Like my signal bar has been dropping back and down on this show for some reason. So I think that's the communication's been bouncing across a little bit.
So, something, yeah. I don't know what to do. It's usually not this bad. I mean, I know AT&T will throttle me down once, but I have the highest speed they. I'm direct connected to an Ethernet cable. I got the highest speed they offer. I don't know what it's usually not, but since that update last night, it's like, man, it's been nothing but, you know.
Yeah, we'll get you back on.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Bob's number. Hi, Shaggy. Hi, Evan. I totally forgot to check this out today. My bad. Don't worry, guys, man. This show is always recorded, pre-recorded. You guys can watch it in the group all the time. Thanks, Evan, for popping in, man. We'll get you back on here again. Thank you for joining in. And anybody wants to get a hold of Evan.
Thank you.
And you guys are recruiting. Do you do owner-operators too? You find lease purchase drivers? You do it all, right?
Lease purchase, owner-operators are tough. We don't really specialize. I can do it, but I can't offer the same timelines I can like company drivers. It's a lot tough. Owner operators are tough, but lease purchase is really easy. Company drivers, again, depending on the need. Yeah.
All right, cool, brother. I appreciate that a lot, man. Thanks for jumping in.
I appreciate it, Shaggy. Thank you.
Yep. All right, I put, who was that? Melissa Duggar, Bob's numbers in the comment down there. I dropped it in the bottom for you. I don't know why it's doing it twice. If the video is kind of rough today, I don't know what's going on with the single. I hope we put on a lot of great information for you guys. I know Frank's mad at me. I forgot about Frank jumping on. I told him we could get back on here and do some more and get back to our old ways of raising hell. But Bob wanted to bring on the recruiter because this is one of the things we talk about a lot is recruiting drivers. It's always a big conversation about drivers. Very important about 1099 and W-2 and how to figure out how to do that. How much freight do you need to cover that? It's big when you guys are doing this. Workman's comp, how does that work? Because, and that's the thing, people get in and they think about company drivers and buying equipment, but do we really think about all these things that go along with it? If you don't and you need help with any of this stuff at all, or you have questions, always hit us up. The phone number is right there across the bottom, 812-870-2039, and we look forward to seeing you guys again next week, me and Frank Jr. on Monday at 3 o'clock, where we'll do the truck tank again, and then maybe we'll get Frank on here. I'm going to owe Frank a show now. He's going to be so mad at me. God, I'm in trouble. All right, guys. Peace, be good. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And our webinars are filled up until December 14th. That's the trucking webinar. We have 11 spots left. And if you guys don't want to wait till December 14th, we do have a few one-on-ones. I know, Jewel. I didn't even think about it. It was all last minute on everybody coming in. Frank's going to be so mad. I'm in trouble. All right. Later, guys. Peace out.